The movie begins with an aerial shot of a river with thick forest on both sides. A woman runs through the woods, scared for her life. A man with a camera chases her. When he finally catches up to her, he injects her with something. A photographer takes photos of a lady posing in a photo studio. He directs her on which poses to make, but stops abruptly. When she asks for advice on how to get calls from agencies, he tells her that she's playing it too safe and asks to see her portfolio. She hands him a folder, but he's not impressed and tells her that she has to show a little more skin. But the lady's hesitant. He tells her she must take more risks if she wants to be successful in the modeling industry, and reluctantly, she takes off her jacket to reveal a short dress. The photographer resumes taking her photos, guiding her through the poses. He stops and tells her to take off her top, but she refuses. He tries convincing her, telling her that he can make her very rich if she's willing to play by his rules. She asks for the camera's memory card, but he keeps pushing, telling her that he can change her life and help her become very wealthy. She grabs the memory card in her portfolio and storms out. That night, the lady enjoys drinks with a man. He's surprised how things turned out between her and the photographer and is confused why she won't go to school with him in Miami, since she is a talented artist. She tells him the photographer's ads seem legit. The lady, Grace, tells him that she's always felt invisible because she was a military brat who moved from base to base. That's why she's buried herself in fashion magazines and dreams of being a successful model one day. He reaches over, grabs her hand, and tells her that he loves her, but she doesn't respond. She's not ready to say those words. She apologizes to Matt. Grace goes over to her mom, who works in the restaurant, and asks if she's ready to leave together. Her mom tells her that she has one more hour left for work because her co-worker, Lisa, is sick. She asks Grace if she'll wait for her, but Grace says she'll take the bus. Her mom asks about the photo shoot and tells her daughter to consider modeling part-time so that she can enroll in college. Grace tells her mom that she's dedicated to her modeling career. Her mom tries to convince her not to throw away the opportunity to go to college because too many girls dream of becoming successful models. Grace is disappointed her mom doesn't believe in her and tells her that modeling is what she wants. Grace heads home, but her mom is heartbroken by the decision. Grace reads another rejection email from an agency. She notices a different email, opens it, and sees an ad for models. The proposal promises to provide bus fares, accommodation, portfolio photos, and introductions to top agents, all for free. She is skeptical at first, but decides to apply. She uploads her headshot and sends her reply. Grace wakes up to the sound of her phone ringing. She leaves her bed, sits on a chair, and answers the call. Cinema recap here. We've got a little challenge that'll take 5 seconds, and it will change your life forever. You ready? All you gotta do is like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, and you'll receive 10 free years of good luck. It's as simple as that. A man on the call introduces himself as Hunter Kelly, a photographer, and tells her that it was his ad that Grace saw. He's impressed by her photos and asks if she would like to go to Miami. Grace is happy and says yes, but asks for proof of his work. He says he'll send her all the evidence she needs. Grace tells him that she's calling from Pensacola, and he informs her that his assistant, Nicole, will send the details. Grace is excited and quickly receives the proof. When she checks out the photographer's portfolio, she's impressed by his work. She hurriedly packs a bag, leaves a note for her mom, and sneaks out of the house. Grace sits by the window on the train and sends an apology message to Matt. She tells him that she wants to give the opportunity a shot without him or her mom getting involved. Grace's mom wakes up, reads her daughter's note, and immediately calls Grace. She leaves a voicemail telling her that they need to talk. Grace arrives in Miami and begins going down the escalator when she meets a woman who introduces herself as Nicole. Nicole asks about the trip, and Grace tells her about the constant stops the train made along the way. Nicole grabs Grace's bags and they head out of the train station. Nicole and Grace talk as they drive on the highway. Nicole tells Grace that she recently moved to Miami from Shreveport because her boyfriend asked her to. She reveals that she had a drug abuse problem and she was from a broken home. Grace asks how long it'll take to get to the studio. Nicole says the studio is about an hour from their current location and that the model's apartment was back downtown. They drive on for a while and Grace comments that the studio is in the middle of nowhere. Nicole tells her that Hunter likes it this way. They arrive at a beautiful mansion, and Nicole hops out of the car as Grace bends to pick up her phone. She sees the batteries empty and is immediately startled by a man standing by the door. He apologizes and welcomes her to his property. She comments on the beautiful landscaping as he brings her into the house and asks her to stand before a black background. He grabs his camera, takes a few shots, and asks Nicole to help him with the lights. When he looks over, he notices a bar of chocolate in Nicole's pocket and gets furious, reminding her that he has one rule. She apologizes and walks away. Grace looks a little disturbed by the scene, but Hunter explains that he has a deathly nut allergy. He apologizes and they continue the shoot. Hunter commenting on her beauty. He tries to pour Grace another drink when he notices that the wine's empty. He tells Nicole to run to the store and get another bottle. As Nicole's about to head out, Grace says she'd like to get back to the apartment since it would be such a long drive to get there. Hunter asks her to wait for Nicole to rush to the store, and when Nicole's back, she'll take her to the apartment. Nicole leaves, and Hunter tells Grace about his love for food and about his friends who passed away from drugs. Grace comments that Nicole mentioned he helped her with her drug problem. He says it's all about empowerment and tells her that most people see models as vain or mindless, but he sees his subjects come alive when he looks at them through his camera lens. She says she hopes she doesn't disappoint him, but he says she can't disappoint him. They toast to her future success. Grace and Hunter laugh at the dinner table. She asks about Nicole as Hunter checks his phone, realizing he missed a text from her. He tells Grace that Nicole wasn't feeling well and has gone home. Hunter offers her the guest house, and she accepts. Grace comments on how beautiful the house is at night as they head into the guest house. She peruses the bookshelf, commenting that Hunter has a thing for empowered women. He agrees. She asks him to check if he can get her a car to take her to the apartment. He checks his phone but tells her that there are no cars in the area. He bids her goodnight, heads out of the room, and tells her not to forget to lock the door. Immediately after he leaves, Grace realizes she's forgotten her bag. She tries opening the door, realizing it's locked. She heads to the window, spotting Hunter outside. She calls him, but he doesn't respond. She tries the phone in the room, calling 911. She tells the operator about her situation, but Hunter tells her to get comfortable. She'll be there for a while. She hangs up and runs to the window, screaming. Matt arrives at Grace's house. He and her mom try to find out where she is, but have no luck. Hunter wakes Grace with a tray of food in his hands. She jumps out of bed and begs to be set free. He tells her that this is her new home. He tells her that he has big plans and shows her photos on the TV, women he claims are his stars. He says that she's finally going to be a model on her very own TV channel, Lonely College Girl. Hunter tells her that she would be like a girlfriend to all the viewers worldwide and assures her that all past stars are doing just fine. She says she would rather die than to do what he says. Hunter shows her a live feed of her mother at the restaurant, proving that the feed is live. When she refuses to give him her passwords, he threatens her, telling her that he has disconnected her cellular signal. Hunter instructs her to pick a costume from the closet and leaves. She goes to the TV and watches one of the past stars dancing erotically. She goes into the closet, and Hunter instructs her to put on the cheerleader outfit. Hunter responds to the message from Grace's mom and posts a few of the photos he took of Grace on her Instagram. Grace's mom gets a notification and sees her daughter's newly uploaded photos. She calls Grace, but the call goes to voicemail. She acknowledges the images but asks to speak to her directly. She calls Matt and informs him of the photos. He checks them out himself and tells Grace's mom that he'll message Grace now since it seems like she's doing fine. He sends a message ending with the words, "I love you." Seconds later, he receives a response that also ends with the phrase, "I love you." Matt immediately finds this strange. Nicole sits in a room with Hunter, and they watch the live feed from Grace's room. Nicole asks if they should hang out after they're done with Grace. Hunter says maybe. He instructs Grace to twirl, shake the pom-poms, move her hips, and take off her top. She turns around and yells into the camera for help. Hunter tells her that he's disappointed by her behavior. He tells her the rules. She must not call for help, and she must not look distressed. He tells her the videos are untraceable. He scrambles the IP address every hour. Grace's mom gets increasingly disturbed over the lack of contact. Grace turns to break the window with a lamp, but she's interrupted by Hunter, who tells her that her debut video had the most views. He offers her a bourbon, but she rejects it. He picks a book from the shelf and says that they should do a librarian theme for the next video, but Grace picks up a glass and throws it against the wall. Hunter shows her a photo and tells her to do what he says. He reveals the window won't break even if a bomb detonated near it. Nicole asks why they are still in the US, since Hunter told her they would run away to Mexico. Hunter calms and assures her that everything will be fine. They kiss passionately and are about to make love when Hunter blurts out Grace's name. Nicole's angry at him, but Hunter apologizes and tries to initiate things again. Nicole refuses. The next day, Nicole dresses up as a librarian. She puts on a good show and Hunter is pleased. Over the next few days, Grace puts on a few different costumes and dances seductively. The views on the live stream continue to increase. Hunter sits with Nicole as they watch Grace's performance. Hunter tells Nicole that he's gonna go for a run. While he's away, Nicole goes into Grace's room and tells her to stop leading Hunter on. They get into a fight as Hunter walks in, telling Nicole to return to the house. Grace thanks Hunter for saving her and kisses him on his neck. Hunter tells her that she reminds him of his mother. He asks that Grace never leaves him, and she promises. Grace's mom and Matt complain to a detective about Grace's weird disappearance. The detective doesn't believe that Grace is missing but thinks she simply doesn't want to be found. They leave the police station disappointed. Hunter gives Grace a dress for her birthday and is impressed when she wears it. Nicole watches them on the screen. Grace wakes up the next day and asks Hunter if she can be a part of his team. She tells him that she wants to paint a portrait or paint herself nude for her next performance and asks if she could go out with him when he wants to get the art supplies needed. Hunter denies her request and asks her to write a list of what she needs, and he'll make sure that she gets them. He tells her that Nicole will get her supplies. Hunter takes Grace out shopping for clothes. She goes into the changing room, cuts herself, and writes "help" on the mirror in blood. Hunter enters the dressing room, brings out his gun, and ushers her out of the boutique. When they arrive at Hunter's house, he tells Nicole to put on her outfit and get ready to go live. He's furious with Grace and warns her that she'll pay for what she did. He goes back to the video room and instructs Nicole to punish Grace. Matt's friend shows him the live feed of Grace getting spanked by Nicole. He asks his friend to track the IP address of the video. Matt texts Grace's phone and says that he's coming after whoever is making her do these things. Nicole tells Grace that captivity is temporary, but Grace disagrees and tells her about Hunter's photos. Hunter interrupts them and tells Grace that her boyfriend is threatening him. He hands her the phone and she speaks to Matt over the phone, telling him to leave her alone. She emotionally breaks up with him and asks him to leave her alone. Matt calls Grace's mom and tells her what has happened. They agree to meet at the police department. Matt tells his friend to help him find Grace's captors. Nicole sees the photos of a dead woman on Hunter's computer and is disturbed by what she sees. Meanwhile, Matt doesn't turn up to the police department. Grace's mom tries calling him, but she can't get through. Hunter tells Grace that Matt won't be available for calls anymore, telling her to do her art project before he leaves. Nicole tells Hunter about the dead woman's photo on the computer. Clearly distressed, he promises to kill her if she even tries to tell anyone. Back at the police department, the detective goes through Grace's computer. He doesn't believe it's a case of foul play and says Grace doesn't want to be found since she recently contacted Matt on the phone. Her phone signal pinged on a cell tower near the Miami train station about 2 weeks earlier. Matt walks into the police department and apologizes for being late. The detective still believes that Grace is safe since she posts on social media and says Grace switched to a wireless network, so they can't track her. They storm out of the police department. Grace hides something in the smoke alarm and rushes back to her bed to continue the art project as Hunter walks in, telling her that they'll go live in 10 minutes. Grace drops her robe and begins painting her nude body. After about a minute of painting, she starts crying. That night, Grace tears some pages from a book and uses her art supplies to create smoke. The smoke alarm goes off and Hunter rushes over. Grace hits him in the eye with the heel of her shoe and runs into the house, calling 911 and grabbing the chocolate. Hunter forces her back into the guest house, cleans himself up, and goes outside to deal with the responding officer. The officer asks him about his eye, but Hunter says his fire extinguisher hit him in the eye. The officer asks to check the property, but dispatch calls him away when they're about to go into the guest house. Matt and his friend find the ad and respond to it with a fake persona as Hunter digs a shallow grave in the forest. He checks out the response Matt sent and tells Nicole to go pick up the new girl. When she gets to the train station, Nicole calls Hunter to tell him she can't find anyone. She leaves and Matt trails her. Matt calls Grace's mom and tells her he'll bring Grace home safe. Hunter walks into the room, telling Grace that she's used up all her chances and that he'll film himself killing her. She begs, but he's determined to follow through with his plans. Matt arrives at Hunter's property, jumps over the fence, and runs around the house. Hunter tells Nicole that he's going to stream Grace's murder online. Nicole tries to talk him out of it, but fails. Hunter manages to knock Matt unconscious, showing him to Grace and telling her to put on a show for him. She goes into the closet, takes a bite from the chocolate bar, and kisses Hunter. Instantly, he has an allergic reaction to the nuts in the chocolate. She releases Matt and they run out of the guest house. Hunter gasps as he reaches the main building and begs Nicole to give him his EpiPen, but she destroys it. A fight ensues and Nicole is stabbed. As they run out, Matt tells Grace that he lost his keys. They head back and watch as Hunter dies from his allergies. 1 year later, Grace and her mom sit on a beach. They're happy that Grace has become a successful model and that her mom is following her dream of becoming a lawyer. Matt comes over and Grace tells him that she loves him as they look out over the ocean. A Model Kidnapping was released in 2019. The movie was produced by Sunshine Films Florida. The stars in the movie are Lucy Loken, Wes McGee, Catherine Diaz, Kiki Harris, and Seth Goodfellow. If you were Grace, would you escape the guest house? Tell me with the hashtag Cinema Recap in the comments.